Have you seen? I want to ask. The Oscars are coming up soon.
I'm not good at this part.
No, it's fine. There's a movie that my co-host and I we saw. We each loved it. It's called Honora. It's by Sean Baker. Budget was $6 million. $6 million. You know, it's a lot of money, but compared to some of the other Oscar nominations, very low budget. So I say that to ask this: your writing process, going now 9, 10 years ago. What was that process to make a feature? Because we're independent filmmakers. $6 million, a lot to us, to Hollywood, tiny budget. So what's your process for making this script that is basically the business model of the film? Like, hey, we're going to write this in a certain way that will be made. You know, so what's your process for writing? Not a short, a feature.
So first, I'm going to change something you said real quick. Your script is not the business model.
Ooh, we
it's
disagree.
the product.
Okay, go ahead.
Right? That's ultimately what you're going to sell. The business model is everything you do around the product to make it, right? So like if you're someone who uses Kickstarter, right? Your business model is community grassroots fundraising. Your product is the film you're making, right? So like those things are very different. I think that's important for the filmmakers to understand because you can have an amazing film, right? But it might not be a good product, which gives it a hard business. It makes it hard to make a business model around, right? One example I saw recently, I don't know anything about this guy, which is part of the problem, right? There's some musician from like Britain who recently did a biopic about him where he was like as a goat as opposed to a person. Like it was just a lot of weird stuff, right? And it's like if you sit with this script, you can love the script emotionally from a creative standpoint, right? But as a business product, how do we sell this?
I agree with
because you have to think about that. Unless you want filmmaking to be a hobby. If you want filmmaking to be a hobby, I'm not the person to be listening to.
As someone who runs a business who's completed a feature recently, I agree with you on that standpoint. However, I will double down on my original point. The script is the product, and it is also the business, because your script will have everything set in motion for you, depending on how you construct that. Are we shooting this in one location or many locations? Are we shooting this in the day? Are we shooting this in the night? How we make this film will set everything in motion. It's contingent upon the script. Everything starts with the script. And
I can make those decisions before you write the script.
You could, however, ultimately, the product will be the main thing that sets everything in motion. So how am I going to get my ROI? That product, the script, it has to sell. And how am I going to get that sold? Let's say you say, oh, here's your guardrail, Gregory, $20,000. Okay, $20,000. It's not a lot of money. But what I can do, I can treat it like a stage play. Take 12 people to one house, and they chop up a few kids. That's a horror movie. I can make that for $20,000. If you tell me to make a certain type of product, action, comedy, drama, $20,000, maybe I can do it. Maybe I can't. But that script, it starts there. From that script, we can determine what the trailer's got to be. We can determine who the cast is going to be. Are they going to be A-list talent for one day or not? Which key locations, which businesses can be involved, which we can then cut in as partners later. I think that everything starts, from my opinion, everything starts with the script, because that's how you can base, eventually, your strategic plan or your business plan.
And that was beautiful, but that's how creatives think, and that's the problem, right? Because
creatives and then bringing in the business model.
And that's the issue, right? If you think about everything you described from the script that you say is important, what part of that can't I make the decision around before you write the script?
What part of that can't you make a decision?
I can decide who I want. I can decide who I want to act in the movie before you write the script. I can decide where we shoot before you write the script. I can decide how it's distributed before we write the script. Everything about the business can be decided before anything creative gets involved. That's why the script is just a product.
The studios
if you're making
would agree with you.
T-shirts, right? If you're making T-shirts, the studios agree 100%. That's why everything happens, right?
They view us as cheap labor.
No, they don't. They view films as products.
But cheap commodities.
No, just products. The cheaper I can make a product, the better. But the goal is to make a product that sells.